Simple living. It's okay to have a day off. Videos on YouTube portray this beautiful idyllic life, simple living, slow living, living in a bygone age, living away from the stresses and strains of the real world, living within the beauty of nature, detached from life's stresses. But living a simple life, a slow life, isn't like a soap opera or a docu-series. You don't wake up every morning completely made up and probably coked up to start a new episode. Life isn't like that. Life is there all the time. Life is round you. You have to live within life, whether you want to or not. But you can still live a slow and simple life. You're still going to have days when you wake up feeling rough and the days get rougher as they go along. That's perfectly normal. And it's usually waking up is the time, isn't it, that tells us how our day's going to be. I'm like that. I worry during the night. In the dark you tend to worry. But when you wake up in the morning, it never seems quite as bad, does it? But you can wake up feeling rough. You can wake up not wanting to face the day, wanting to hide away. Well, that's not good. But it's not your fault. There's no need to beat yourself up. It's perfectly natural. You did nothing wrong. And living a slow and simple life sometimes exacerbates that feeling because there's a bigger contrast between the way you normally live and the way your body feels when you're in a bit of a downer. What to do? Having a less than idyllic day doesn't mean that you've failed at anything. You've not done anything wrong. Living a less materialistic, frugal, simpler life does banish some of the stresses, absolutely. And it's worth every minute. And just like I'm sitting here now, you can see the bluebells behind me by a stream. You may be able to hear the stream. It's absolutely idyllic and blissful. And Molly's walking through the water. Molly's having a lovely time as well. And that's great. But that doesn't mean that I can't go into a fog, start worrying. That's just chemicals. That's just what your body does. There's absolutely nothing to do with it. There's loads of chemicals and electrical impulses going around your body that we've absolutely no control about. It doesn't matter how frugal and how simple your life, they're still going around your body. It's still going to happen. You've not done anything wrong. Don't beat yourself up. The only way to live right out of the regime of the outside world having a go at you is to live a completely independent life in a crofter's cottage on Orkney or a cabin in the wilds of Appalachia or something like that. But most of us don't. 99.9% of us don't. 99.9% of us still have to function within the real world. So we go about our lives in probably a less chaotic way. For every 3 financial transactions, we probably do 1. For every 10 minutes sitting, stirring banally at the television, we probably do none. For every convoluted recipe that you could be doing full of expensive ingredients that you can't pronounce just so you can impress the ladies down at the Pilates class. I've nothing against Pilates, but why do we as humans find it necessary to sweat in company? So for every one of those recipes that somebody else is doing, you're probably knocking something delicious together using 3 ingredients and half a bottle of Rioja. But still you can wake up with a gob on, and for people who don't live in the UK, and for some people who don't live in the northwest like I do, having a gob on just means being in a funk, being angry, being irritated. I've got a gob on. So you might wake up with a gob on. Then when you go downstairs and you find that a bill's dropped through the door and real life raises its ugly head yet again to remind you that it's still there and it's not forgotten that you exist. and all this is happening, and all you want to do is just be at peace in your own life, in your own world, what do, you ask? And the simple answer to that is whatever suits you. There's no silver bullet. There's no one size fits all. All I can do is tell you what I do. And I'm sure you will all cut your cloth accordingly. And I'm sure it will work for you. And then you can go back to living this life. The sound of the water here is fabulous. The sound of the water and the birds in the trees above me. And it's early morning and I can smell the world waking up. And Molly is just sitting. But what do? Well, for one thing, I meditate. Now I know I push this and it's not for everyone, but I'm going to keep putting it out there in the hope that I do get a bite, because it's worked for me and it's worked for me for a long time. I started meditating 15, 16 years ago after I had a series of heart attacks, followed by triple heart bypass, followed by months of just curled up on my boat worrying because I'd lost my livelihood, but people still wanted my money. And it worked for me, so I'll keep throwing it up there because it may work for you. I take myself out of the environment. It might be just outside, it might be down the street, it might be into the countryside, it might just be a walk round the garden, but I take myself out of that environment. You will never get out of this fog, you will never get out of this feeling if you stay within the environment, because when you start feeling worry and anxiety over things in the everyday life is throwing at you, you automatically associate that with the environment you're in. So the first thing you do, take yourself out of that environment. Just go for a walk around town, just go for a walk around your local park, get in the car, drive into the countryside, just go in the garden and just look at the flowers, look at the grass, look at the sky, listen to the wind in the trees, listen to the birds, listen to kids playing in the distance, listen to church bells. Listen to cars, just listen to the world, a world other than the environment that is causing you the angst. And I guarantee that will help. I busy myself with a chore or a hobby fine, but a chore you say. But not all chores are unpleasant. There are things I don't like doing and there are things that I do like doing. I don't mind hoovering. I don't mind cleaning surfaces. I don't like washing up. I hate stripping the bed. I hate making the bed. I can't do it. It takes me ages. I end up in a sweat. So I just do something. If it's not a hobby, I just do something that probably needs doing anyway, but they don't mind doing. Occupy your time. Occupy your hands. Occupy your mind. And being outside, do whatever suits you. It's you we're talking about here. It's not something you can read in a book. It's not some idyllic lifestyle you can see on YouTube, running through a field, baking cinnamon rolls, drinking herbal tea. I've said it again. It's what suits you. And I realise this is all part of life. You've chosen a lifestyle, but it is still a life. Circumstances will probably dictate they have to live your life within a community of people who are living slightly differently. Real life is out there. I said before, real life hasn't forgotten that you exist. So all this should come as no surprise, should it? You're just living where you've always lived. You've not gone to live on Alpha Centauri or Beetlejuice. It's going to happen. Some of us will cope better than others, but never regret, never question the life-changing decisions you've made to pare down your life, but to pare down the materialistic part of your life, to live a simpler life, to commune more with nature, to relieve the stress. Never ever doubt that you're doing the right thing. You may go back to the temptations, you may fall back into living the materialistic life. I guarantee you'll come to regret it, and you will go down the same road you've come down. And you will be reinforced then, because you will have failed, not failed, but you will have succumbed at some point, and you will once again step away. So once you've done this, once you've started living the simple life, that's it, you're destined to do it. Because once you appreciate it, there's no going back. Because at the back of your mind, you will know that you could do better, you could live a better life, you could be more at peace in your mind, in your surroundings, in your community. So you're doing great. You're still winning. Keep it up. And now, if you stuck around long enough, we've got a ghost story for you. In 1990, I went to live in Connecticut with my 6-year-old son and my miserable husband. A few weeks after moving into our rented home, my husband phoned with an offer. A workmate had to find a home for 2 kittens with feline infectious peritonitis, so couldn't mix with other animals. The perfect companion for me, as I was not allowed to work. They arrived and both are great. One was much smaller than her sister and also not so energetic. So I tended to carry her around the house, and if she got ill, we would go up to the top bedroom and we'd sleep together, rather than her die alone during the night. So one night the kitten was ill, and I, as usual, told the hubby that me and Mog, were going to sleep in the spare room. At that point, he went ballistic. I listened to him and did what he wanted. Put the kitten in the basement with his sister, locked the doors and came to bed. I reminded him that he would be the first downstairs in the morning, so likely to be the one that would find a dead kitten. The morning came with shrieks from a frightened husband. He'd found the kitten in a bad way, and with his usual brave gland rising, he flew upstairs to tell me about it, and he got zilch sympathy from me. After dropping my son off at his school, I took the kitten to the vet, who was expecting to put the kitten to sleep. As the vet injected the kitten, he kept my eyes and ears busy by talking about the beautiful blanket she was wrapped in, and then told me she's gone now. After leaving the vet, I had to pull over and stop my car. I was in no fit state to carry on driving, so I waited by the curbside until I was. I was so upset at having to leave the lovely kitten behind. That night I went to bed just after my husband and climbed into bed carefully so as not to wake him. Once in bed, my mind meandered through the day's happenings. Very sad. I was wide awake when I felt something walk upon my chest, and when I opened my eyes I saw the little kitten on my chest. She opened her mouth wide and cried, but there was no noise. It was evident she was upset and confused. I wasn't. I dragged the blankets over my head and stayed under them, waiting to feel her walk off my chest. I didn't feel any movement, so when I felt brave enough, I pulled the covers from my head. There was nothing there. The following morning, my miserable husband woke with his complaint. He didn't get much sleep the night before, after the kitten walked across him to get to me. I didn't tell him the truth, he didn't deserve to know. Thank you very much, Liz. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed our little chat. I hope it was useful. I hope it gave you some food for thought, and I hope you liked our little ghost story. We're going to carry on now. We've got a lot to do today. We're going dog sitting for our favourite dogs, and we always enjoy that. So we're going to have a walk in these woods we're in now. Molly's enjoying herself. Can you see her there, little girl? We shall see you on the flip. Much peace and love.